name is Cadet Zach Kimbrough, and my partner for this project is Cadet Duong, and today we will be presenting our project for SE370. For this project, we analyzed the data from Blue Bikes, which is a bike share system in the Boston area. With this data, we created various plots and graphs involving different age groups to determine which audience the company should target during certain times of the year. From our analysis, we determined that the same marketing campaigns in the Boston area could not completely translate to West Point. After analyzing all of our plots, we concluded that the best audience to target is the age group under 25. As you can see within the riders per age group in 2012 graph and the riders under 25 of the months graphs, it is clear to see that this group uses Blue Bikes significantly more than any other age group. Generally, young adults are more active and out and about, especially if they're in school and have to commute around college campuses. From our results, Blue Bikes can depend on this certain group to continually use their system. After looking at the riders under 25 of the months graph, it's clear to see that the best audience to target is still the age group under 25. Furthermore, the most riders in this age group are in June, July, August, and September due to the summer weather, which is warmer and sunnier most of the time. The riders 26 to 35 age group is the second greatest riding population that rides mainly in the end of spring, into summer, and early fall, which is generally the warmest and best weather throughout the year. The riders 36 to 45 age group has significantly less riders than the previous two age groups due to likely driving cars because they generally have a higher level of income at this age. The riders 46 to 55 age group is similar to the previous age group in the fact that many individuals in these categories most likely drive cars. Despite this, the people that do ride bikes in these groups predominantly ride in the months from May to August, as you can see in this graph. And within the final age group, which is riders over 55, the numbers of riders increase from the previous age group, which is a different trend than what the other graphs show. This may be due to many individuals retiring in this group, leading to more people riding Blue Bikes and driving less.
For this project, we had to use one art package that was not taught in this course, and we used a library called GG Pub R, and we used GG Arrange from this library, and it basically allows you to display more than one graph at a time instead of running each individual code. And we chose this format of one column and two rows because any more than one column or two rows ended up showing our data in an unpresentable and unreadable way. So this is why we chose that format. And we displayed all 5 of our graphs showing the total number of riders of each age group per month. And as you will see later in our presentation, we used a leaflet map to display the most popular stations in the Boston area. And before we did that, we web scraped the Blue Bikes website, and we web scraped the HTML text from that table. We were unable to get the table itself, so we created our own data frame, which is right here. To showcase our Blue Bikes marketing campaigns, we decided to use a Flex dashboard with a storyboard. And our first recommendation is to target City College students. So from the map we created, the most popular stations in the Boston area, you can see that the most popular stations are located near colleges such as MIT and Northeastern University. And these students are probably using Blue Bikes to get from class to class, or in general just trying to get around campus. Our second recommendation is to target riders under 25 during the summer months. So we concluded from these graphs that the highest total number of riders occurs during the summer months, as you can see in riders per month and riders per season. And we already know that the age group under 25 is the most popular group for riding bikes, so we figured that targeting this group and the prime months would be a good marketing campaign. Our third target would be the male population. We created a pie chart showing the percentage male versus female riders, and 75% of Blue Bike riders ended up being male, which was surprising to us because initially we thought that the number of males and females would be relatively the same. Our fourth possible target is to target everyone during the nice weather times of the year, and we base this off of the temperature and humidity graphs. So as you can see, the total number of riders was at the most around the temperature 75 degrees, and the humidity, it would be from 50 to 75% humidity. And it makes sense because riders would want to ride in nice weather and not hot and muggy weather. Our fifth recommendation is to target commuters year-round. So we created this pie chart, and majority of the blue bike riders are commuters, and they use the blue bikes to go to places such as work. And so this makes sense because it's way easier to get around on bike in a busy city than using a personal vehicle or using public transportation. Our sixth recommendation would be to target the second most popular group for blue bikes, which is the riders 26 to 35. And similarly, the riders under 25 group rides frequently during the months right here, which are the summer months, beginning of fall, and also spring. Our seventh option is to target everyone during the month of March. From our riders per month in 2012 graph, you can see that the biggest jump of total riders was in the month of March, so we decided to target everyone during this time of year because it was the biggest increase out of all the months. Our last recommendation is to target leisure riders who live near parks. If we look at the most popular stations map again, if you look in detail, you can see that some of the stations are near parks such as Fort Washington Park, as well as Point Park. And even though these riders do not represent most of our blue bikes population, it is still important that we do target them since they are still valuable customers of our system.
If blue bikes were to be implemented at West Point, the West Point marketing campaign should target the riders under 25 and riders 26 to 35 age groups. Blue bikes at West Point should target these groups because they provide the greatest riding populations, resulting in the most amount of profit gained. We should target from the end of April through the beginning of October to obtain the most number of riders possible. These months are also the warmest months of the year at West Point, thus it is more likely people will ride these bikes. Additionally, in April, May, September, and October, the humidity flutters around 50 to 75%, as shown in this graph, which is when the majority of riders will likely ride. Thus, blue bikes should heavily focus on targeting their marketing campaigns during these months slightly more than in June, July, and August. Based on the temperature versus riders graph, as shown here, it is evident that the majority of riders ride around 75 degrees Fahrenheit. The graph is a relatively normal distribution which can help us predict when it will be best to campaign for blue bikes at West Point. Based on the humidity versus riders graph, as shown, the majority of riders ride in weather with about 50 to 75% humidity in this range. Since we are market campaigning for those at West Point, we will likely campaign around September to November, which is when the temperature is around 75 degrees in the area and the humidity is relatively low.
In conclusion, the data analysis for the Boston area cannot be translated to West Point because of how differently people commute and use bikes in general. West Point's terrain is very hilly, so if blue bikes were to be implemented in this area, rides would most likely not be popular or for leisure because biking uphill is not always pleasant and riding downhill might not be enjoyed for some. You also can't target the cadets at West Point during the weekdays because all of them do walk to get to their classes. The sport athletes do either take the bus that transports them to the athletic facilities or they walk to their destination. So in both cases, bikes would not be necessary. So the best time to target these cadets would be during the weekends when there are cadets who do have the privilege to go off post but they don't have cars. So they would use the blue bike system to be transported outside the West Point gates in order to request an Uber or Lyft since these drivers are not allowed on post. And during the summer, which is the prime time for bike riding, would not be a good time for targeting cadets because they're either away on leave or they're involved in military training. So without cadets, blue bikes would not be popular during this time of the year or most of the days of the year.